Dandy escapes from marriage. Chapter 4. The weather was scorching hot, and Lu Shu and Hui Shang sat on a bench in front of the stove, fanning themselves with palm leaf fans. They lazily watched Shen Cao, who was busy cooking. Shen Cao wore rough clothes, with sleeves tied up with ropes. His long fingers expertly sliced potatoes into various sizes and shapes before pushing them into the pot of boiling water. "Aren't you using oil?" Lu Shu asked curiously. "I don't eat oil," Hui Shang replied. "All right." Lu Shu really wanted something savory and couldn't help but gaze at the pot of lard on the stove. It was almost empty, and he couldn't resist licking his lips. "Hold it, your saliva is about to drip," Hui Shang reminded him. Hearing that his simple pot of boiled potatoes was unexpectedly tempting, Shen Cao gained confidence and increased his cutting speed. After adding some salt to the pot, a plate of potatoes was ready. Hui Shang, who was starving, quickly grabbed the plate and went to eat. "Now what?" Lu Shu looked at Shen Cao. "Do you know how to build a fire?" Shen Cao asked in return. Lu Shu swallowed, and under Shen Cao's hopeful gaze, he nodded, "Of course." He picked up some firewood and threw it into the stove, watching as the flames grew larger. He grinned, "See, it's that simple. It's great to have you here. I don't have to rush around anymore," Shen Cao said with relief. Encouraged by the praise, Lu Shu suddenly found enjoyment in this task. He smiled and kept adding firewood to the stove as he spoke. "I told you I'm clever, these little things are a piece of cake for me." Before long, the smell of lard began to waft from the pot, making Lu Shu's mouth water. He stared at the pile of meat in the pot and exclaimed, "What are you cooking? Isn't that too much oil?" "I'm rendering some pork fat, Auntie Zhu at the village taught me." Shen Cao scooped up the lard residue, blew on it, and tasted a bit before raising an eyebrow. "Do you want to try? You can eat this stuff." Lu Shu's facial expressions twisted in surprise. "Want to give it a try?" Shen Cao saw that Lu Shu was holding firewood and walked over, offering him a piece near his mouth. Lu Shu took a bite without hesitation, chewed a couple of times, and found it crispy with a unique aroma. He exclaimed, "It's surprisingly delicious. Yet, when you're hungry, you can have some of this to fill your stomach before the meal," Hui Shang suggested while fanning the flames. "Hee, yo!" Lu Shu suddenly started a rhythmic chant, not knowing why. But in that instant, it felt like he was back in a Zhongling tavern, where he and his buddies loved such rhythmic tunes. "Fire, fire, fire! Yo, yo, yo!" Lu Shu got into it. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the center of their view, swiftly removing a few burning woods from the stove and tossing them into a pile of ashes nearby, extinguishing the flames. "You can't burn that much firewood at once, you need to leave some space in between the wood," Hui Shang advised and then casually walked away to continue eating potatoes. Lu Shu suddenly realized, "You should have mentioned it was a fire issue." Shen Cao muttered, "At least twice." While Lu Shu struggled to maintain the fire, Shen Cao managed to stir-fry some vegetables and make a pot of vegetable soup, which served as their meal. After dinner, it was time to demonstrate their usefulness. Lu Shu volunteered to wash the dishes. In the main room, Hui Shang was discussing the recent events and news with Shen Cao. He said, "There's a family in the town who's looking for a school teacher. I think you should give it a try. The monthly pay is good. As soon as I heard about it, I rushed back to tell you." "Teaching?" Shen Cao pondered for a moment and asked, "Are there any requirements, like background or qualifications?" Hui Shang waved his hand dismissively, "What requirements could there be? It's just a merchant family who wants their children to learn a few words. You're good with poetry and literature, teaching some kids should be no problem." "But..." Crash! Both of them turned to the kitchen, where Lu Shu had accidentally dropped something. He picked up the broken pieces and with a mournful look on his face as he said, "I'm sorry, it was unintentional. It's okay, Shen Kao reassured him and then turned back to discuss the matter at hand. But what about the seedlings? I spent a lot to buy those seedlings. Crash. Sorry again, my hand slipped. Lu Shu picked up the broken pieces of a plate and looked at them with a pitiable expression. It's fine, just be careful not to hurt yourself, Shen Kao said. Lu Shu sniffled, feeling guilty for his clumsiness. When he heard them discussing what to do next, he suddenly stepped forward and said confidently, "Leave the planting to me." Shen Kao was surprised. What? Lu Shu replied, "You can become a teacher, and I'll help you with planting. Do you know how to plant? What's so hard about it? You just put the seedlings in the ground, right?" Just as Shen Kao was about to agree, Hui Shang interjected, "It's in the field." Shen Kao's neck stiffened slightly, but he calmly withdrew his agreement. Lu Shu nodded repeatedly, got it, it's in the field, same principle." Time was of essence and being a schoolteacher was a good opportunity. Hui Shang urged Shen Kao to head to town immediately to avoid someone else taking the job. Before Shen Kao left, he gave Lu Shu another reminder, "If I'm not back before dark, make sure to apply the ointment yourself, and if you can't reach some areas, let Hui Shang help." I got it. You should go quickly," Lu Shu urged Shen Kao, as if he could already see a bright future ahead. He smiled and said, "If you get hired, remember to bring back some eggs." "All right." Shen Kao smiled briefly, his gaze sliding over Hui Shang's expressionless face. He suppressed his smile, became serious and said, "You take care." Hui Shang replied with a casual hat. Shen Kao donned his straw hat, braving the sun, and left the house. Lu Shu sighed with relief, rolled up his sleeves eagerly and said, "Let's go, let's start planting the seedlings." "What do you mean we?" "It's just you," Hui Shang hurriedly clarified. "What do you mean? Weren't you staying to help?" "Of course not, I'm just taking a break, and I have other things to attend to." "What other things?" Hui Shang raised one hand and held it solemnly in front of his chest and spoke proudly, "Begging. Beggars lack brains for not doing what you did, shaving their heads and going directly to people's doors for food." Lu Shu and Hui Shang sat in the house for a while until they felt less hot, before heading to the corner of the yard to fetch the seedlings. Lu Shu asked, "You know where his field is, right? Show me." "This way, please." Hui Shang led the way, but Lu Shu, who was carrying a tray of seedlings, got tired after a few steps and shouted, "Master, help me carry this, will you?" Hui Shang pretended not to hear. "Help! A bald donkey is murdering someone." Hui Shang suddenly turned around, "You! Spouting nonsense and exaggerating the truth, that's truly despicable." Lu Shu raised an eyebrow, "Stop acting all high and mighty. Are you going to help or not?" Hui Shang, ... Hui Shang took a few steps back and with a sigh, helped him carry the tray. They finally reached the field and with a wave of his hand, Hui Shang said, "There you go. This is quite a large area." Lu Shu looked around, seeing fields stretching as far as the eye could see, and his legs began to tremble in fear. "No, it's just this small piece." Hui Shang made a small circle in the air with his hand, indicating the tiny plot of land in front of them, about the size of the courtyard of the thatched roof house. But that seemed to cheer Lu Shu up. "Isn't this easy?" He waded straight into the field, but as soon as he realized his lower legs were sinking into the mud, he belatedly rolled up his pant legs and stared at the field for a moment before looking up at Hui Shang. "Aren't you coming down?" "I'm a man of the Buddhist path, I neither enter the palace nor the fields," Hui Shang replied calmly. Lu Shu gritted his teeth, increasingly convinced that this master wasn't really a master at all and more like a lazy and cunning charlatan. Relying on his intuition, he picked up a seedling, bent down, and inserted it into the mud. Then he planted a second one, feeling quite satisfied, saying, this isn't so difficult after all. Pay attention to the spacing. If you plant them so closely together, do you want them to cluster together and die? Hui Shang asked. Lu Shu frowned and instinctively wanted to curse at him, but with a quick glance, he noticed that the other fields were indeed planted with a bit of distance between the seedlings. Fine, let's start over again. He rearranged the positions, bent over, and planted all the seedlings. When he stood up, he felt like his back was about to break, and he rubbed his waist in pain. At this moment, an elderly man came by, leading a cow. Moo! A burst of hot air blew past his cheek, and as he turned his head, he found himself locking eyes with another pair of eyes the size of small bronze bells. He unconsciously tilted his head back. You, young man, it seems this field hasn't been plowed yet and you're already planting seedlings, the old man suddenly said. Plow the field? Yes, do you have a cow at home? It's all in my stomach, ah. He was craving fresh beef again. Seeing him remain silent, the old man shook his head, sighed, and urged the cow to his own field. Lu Shu lifted his robe, crouched on the edge of the field, and observed for a while before he figured out what plowing the land meant. Taking advantage of the old man's resting time, he approached with a friendly smile, Sir, could I borrow your cow to plow the field for a bit? Go ahead, go ahead. The old man handed him the cow's rope. He nodded, pulled the rope, and started walking forward. He walked and walked, but couldn't move forward. He turned back and saw that the cow hadn't budged either. He tugged at the rope for a long time with no success. So, he pulled the rope over his shoulder and used all his might to pull it forward. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. As evening approached, Shen Kao rushed back from town. From a distance, he saw a small patch of light green sprouting in the field. He quickened his pace and first noticed Hui Shang, dressed in a monk's robe, squatting by the field. He approached and asked, Are you picking wild vegetables? What wild vegetables? These are arrowhead plants, they taste great, Hui Shang replied with focus. What about Xiao Wu? He's still battling with the cow, Hui Shang said without turning his head. What? Shen Kao looked in the distance and finally noticed a cow and a mud-covered figure. Lu Shu's hands were getting calloused, and he still hadn't managed to make the cow budge. Instead, the cow seemed to grow unhappy and turned around, dragging him into the field and making him roll a few times. I'm so frustrated. Don't think that I won't butcher you. Lu Shu shouted. What did you say? The old man asked. Lu Shu immediately shut up. Xiao Wu. Hearing the shout from the field, Lu Shu looked over and saw that Shen Kao had returned. He was both happy and aggrieved. He had just run a few steps when the old man shouted at him, Don't step on my seedlings. He backed off, climbed onto the field ridge and ran towards Shen Kao. You're finally back. You have no idea how annoying that cow is. You've worked hard, Shen Kao said, feeling guilty. In just a short time, the person who had been clean at noon had turned into a mud-covered figure. He raised his hand and wiped the mud off Lu Shu's face with his sleeve. Lu Shu was slightly stunned, his gaze wavering. He stared at Shen Kao's hand and when Shen Kao pulled it back, Lu Shu raised his own hand and blinked, saying, This part is dirty too. Shen Kao cleaned his hands, too. Lu Shu raised both hands, saying, My clothes are dirty too. Go wash up. Okay. Lu Shu agreed cheerfully. The earlier frustration caused by the cow had dissipated with Shen Kao's warm smile. Suddenly, there was the sound of a whip cracking nearby. Snap! The whip landed on the cow's backside, finally getting it to move. The old man shouted, and the cow began to plow the field. Lu Shu muttered, Is asking for trouble. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. After returning home, Lu Shu took a quick bath. Bathing here was quite straightforward. He scooped water from a bucket and scrubbed himself clean with a cloth. It was nothing like his usual baths, where he lounged in a tub, enjoying fruits or snacks with a maidservant's massage and a servant's jokes to keep him entertained. His own clothes were still not dry, so he borrowed some of Shen Cao's. Seeing how slim Shen Cao was, the clothes were still slightly loose on Lu Shu, particularly around the shoulders and waist, and a bit longer in length. While Shen Cao was taking a bath, dinner was prepared. Shen Cao cooked, and Hui Shang handled the arrowhead plants. The three of them sat around the table, and Lu Shu looked down at a large plate of cold dish in puzzlement. "What's this? Can we eat it?" "Yes, it's arrowhead plants. People here like to eat them, it's quite delicious," Hui Shang said as he took the first bite, savoring the taste. Lu Shu cautiously picked up a little, chewed a few bites, and made a bitter face. "Pa, what is this? Even dogs wouldn't eat it." After saying that, he noticed that Shen Cao had suddenly stopped chewing and seemed quite pleased. Shen Cao blinked at him. Lu Shu stammered, "No, I didn't mean it that way, I was just being plain rude," Hui Shang continued. "Exactly," Lu Shu nodded and proactively picked up some food for Shen Cao, saying, "You should eat more. Don't let the bald donkey eat it all." Hui Shang ate quickly and shot him an annoyed look. "Oh, did you buy eggs?" Lu Shu couldn't stand this strange dish and planned to cook an egg to eat with his rice. "No," Shen Cao hesitated, then sighed in front of their puzzled gazes, "I didn't have the money to buy eggs, and I wasn't selected." "Why?" both of them asked simultaneously. Hui Shang was surprised. How high are their standards for selecting people? Lu Shu was baffled. How expensive can eggs be? Young Master Lu, who had never faced the difficulty of finding eggs to eat, had finally tasted the frustration of not having one. It was truly a cracking experience. The pain was unbearable. End chapter. Dandy escapes from marriage. Chapter 5. While Lu Shu picked at his rice, Shen Cao explained the reason for why he wasn't selected. They chose someone more suitable. Where was he more suitable? Hui Shang asked. He's articulate, and he's also a distant relative of the county magistrate. Hui Shang nodded, that's not surprising. They are businessmen and they won't prioritize virtue in front of power. As the son of an experienced businessman, Lu Shu had something to say, that's true. So, that person is more suitable than me. Shen Cao understood this logic well. Fortunately, he didn't seem too disheartened. Life had to go on and he refused to believe that he couldn't support himself after leaving his family. What do you plan to do next? Hui Shang asked. Shen Cao pondered for a moment and said, the firewood shed is empty. I need to go up the mountain to chop some firewood, plant some vegetables and buy some eggs. Lu Shu looked at him in surprise. In such a tight financial situation, Shen Cao still managed to plan everything so meticulously. If it were him in this situation, he would have cried and begged his parents for money. What determination! Lu Shu was genuinely impressed. He wanted to take back the words he had often said before that scholars are useless. This scholar seemed very useful. Instead of buying eggs, it might be more cost-effective to raise chickens, Hui Shang suggested. You can buy some chicks. They will not only lay eggs but also provide chicken meat in the future. Shen Cao nodded, good, let's do that. But where will the money come from? The dinner table suddenly fell silent. Lu Shu even felt like he could hear the wind rustling through his hair, blowing in from the northwest. Tomorrow, come with me to beg for alms, Hui Shang suggested earnestly. Lu Shu quipped, I've never heard anyone talk about begging for alms in such a pious way. Hui Shang responded, do you have a better plan? Yes. Both of them looked at him. He raised his chin and said, you give me some initial capital, and I'll go to the gambling den to win us a lot of silver. Both of them remained speechless. Shen Cao ignored his words and pondered for a moment before saying, I can go sell herbs. Since I've been exposed to the sun enough, I have enough to cure diarrhea for several years. I can sell the excess and use the money to buy chicken chicks. I agree, Lu Shu was the first to agree. After finishing their meal, Hui Shang left. It's already late, and he's just leaving. If he doesn't leave now, he won't make it to the almsgiving event tomorrow morning. Lu Shu, ... Lu Shu and Shen Cao sat in the courtyard, fanning themselves with palm leaves. Curiously, Lu Shu asked, is his lifelong career all about begging for alms? The monks I've seen before usually stay in the temple, waiting for people to donate incense. Some of them don't even get to meet people. That happens when a temple becomes famous and the people who comes have enough money, Shen Cao explained. He had learned during his time here that not all temples were as prosperous as those in the capital. Due to the poverty in this area, there was little money left to offer to the Buddha. People could only silently pray in their hearts. The cool night breeze began to blow. Lu Shu put down his fan and rubbed his wrist. Are you injured? Shen Cao held Lu Shu's wrist, examining it in the moonlight. Lu Shu widened his eyes slightly, noticing Shen Cao's focused and earnest expression. He heard Shen Cao ask, is this from planting rice seedlings? It was actually from fanning himself too hard. But the truth was even more embarrassing, so he nodded, yes, my back is a bit sore, too. Shall we go inside? I can give you a back massage. Shen Cao suggested. Do you know how to give back massage? Lu Shu was surprised. I don't. Lu Shu, ... But I can learn. You're experimenting with me, aren't you? Lu Shu realized, seeing a hint of excitement in Shen Cao's eyes. No, I'm not, Shen Cao replied with a slight smile. I've always wanted to understand the acupoints on the back, but it's hard to do it alone. Why don't you practice with Hui Shang? Lu Shu asked. He's shy. Shy? Lu Shu raised an eyebrow. Well, I'm shy too. No, you're not, Shen Cao said. You let me see your butt, now you're afraid to show your back. I showed you my butt to save my life and let you apply medicine. If I feel shy now, why can't I? All right, all right. Shen Cao returned to his room and fetched a medical book, flipping to the A-cup ointment chart as he watched Lu Shu attentively. Lu Shu, ... Shen Cao continued to stare at him. I want to eat scrambled eggs tomorrow, Lu Shu suddenly said. Sure. Hee hee. Lu Shu grinned, then quickly and willingly took off his clothes, lying down on his stomach, ready to be a test subject. Before long, loud screams that resembled a pig being slaughtered echoed, ah ah ah. It hurts, it hurts. Ow 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 ow, hey, 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 you're making me laugh, stop it. As the candlelight gradually dimmed, Shen Cao closed the book and draped Lu Shu's clothes over him. Thank you. Huff huff. Shen Cao glanced over and realized that Lu Shu had fallen asleep at some point. He felt a mix of amusement and exasperation. He reached over to help remove Lu Shu's pants. Feeling a sudden cold sensation on his buttocks, Lu Shu's eyes snapped open, and he widened them, turning his head to see Shen Cao. What are you doing? Being a pervert? No, I'm applying medicine. Shen Cao held up his hands, showing Lu Shu the herbs. Oh, sorry, I woke up, Lu Shu apologized with a sheepish smile. No problem, Shen Cao smiled as well. A bit of caution is always good. But there's no need to be cautious with you, Lu Shu said. Even though you're a scholar, you're a good person, different from others. What do you mean? Shen Cao asked curiously. This story goes way back. Can you give me the short version? All right, let me shorten it. It all started when I was 3 years old. Okay, that's enough, Shen Cao interrupted. After applying the medicine, he got up and walked away, closing the door behind him. Rest well. Lying alone in bed, Lu Shu chuckled for a while, gradually suppressing his laughter. Whenever he thought of his childhood experiences at the private school, he couldn't help but feel annoyed and rolled his eyes. At first, he didn't resist going to school, but it happened that a few of his classmates were sons of officials and they all loved to brag about it. They openly and secretly teased him for being a girly boy. The most annoying time was when a few people secretly gossiped that he was the son of a businessman's concubine. They were all son of bitches, and he was so angry that he rushed over to settle the score with them. However, he was unable to fight with his fists and was pushed into a pool of water and almost drowned. No one was held responsible for this incident. After all, the perpetrators have government officials backing them, so Lu Shu could only suffer this bullying in vain. Due to this, he no longer wanted to study and learned to hate scholars vehemently. Except Ah Kao. After thinking about it, it might be because Ah Kao was not attending the private school, so strictly speaking, he is not amongst those he hates. The next morning, Lu Shu woke up to the familiar smoke again. He had only been here for 2 or 3 days, but he seemed to have lived here for a long time. He went to the kitchen to fetch water by familiar means, yawned and asked, "What are we cooking today?" "Porridge, we only have a little rice at home." Shen Kao coughed a few times and covered his nose. Lu Shu quickly left the place with the basin in hand. After washing his face in a hurry, he ran back and took Shen Kao away. "I'll light the fire." Shen Kao felt guilty. "Sorry, I can't seem to do anything well." "How could you say such a thing?" Lu Shu held the fire tongs and stirred on the stove for a while. Finally, the smoke was gone and then he continued, "It's a miracle that you survived alone until now." Shen Kao's mouth twitched slightly. Yes. "Oh no, I mean it's great that you're alive." Oops, what I mean is," Lu Shu got stuck. If he had known better, he would have studied more and would be able to say exactly what he meant. He shouted wildly, "You are already very good. Everyone has things that they are not good at. Although, you can't make a fire, you are good at cooking, though it doesn't seem to be very tasty." The more he talked, the more ambiguous it sounded. Lu Shu gave up. He stopped talking and scratched his head. At this time, he heard a chuckle and a big hand touched his head. "Okay, there are sparks in your hair. I understand what you're trying to say. Thank you." Shen Kao couldn't help laughing. Lu Shu looked up at his clear and honest expression. The hand was so warm that even his cheeks seemed to feel heated up. He quickly slapped his hand away and turned to look at the fire in the stove. The light reflected the fire. His face turned a little rosy. "It's so hot." "Then please help light the fire, and I'll prepare the things for going up the mountain." Shen Kao turned around and went outside. Lu Shu quietly raised his eyes and stared blankly in the direction where he disappeared. Then suddenly, he jumped in surprise. Oops! The pot had gotten dry. A pot of porridge was cooked into batter, with a shallow layer of rice crust at the bottom. Shen Kao accepted it well. Perhaps he was used to bringing out all kinds of weird food from the kitchen at any time. He ate it quickly without looking rude as he gobbled it up. "Hey, actually I can't do anything well, myself," Lu Shu said disappointedly. Shen Kao smiled and said, "How could it be? If it weren't for your help, I wouldn't be able to plant all the seedlings and the fire wouldn't burn well. As you said, everyone has something they are not good at. Why don't you tell me what are the things you are good at? Will keeping counts during cricket fight do?" Lu Shu asked cautiously. "Forget it." But Lu Shu was encouraged to continue, "I am also good at fighting, watching plays, and harassing the officials' children." Shen Kao, ... Shen Kao's smile became somewhat fragmented, and he gained a new understanding of Lu Shu. Despite trying to hold back, he couldn't resist asking, "About this last one, what do you mean by harassing officials' children?" "It's those children of local officials who are really annoying. I just find ways to tease them a bit, Lu Shu explained with a smirk. I see, local officials' children. Shen Cao breathed a sigh of relief, suddenly realizing that he himself was an official's son. With the sun just rising over the mountains, Shen Cao prepared to go collect medicinal herbs and gather some firewood. Is there anything I can help with? Lu Shu volunteered, I can accompany you to collect medicinal herbs. Your injury hasn't fully healed yet, it's not convenient to go up the mountain. Just rest at home, Shen Cao advised. How about I help you with planting vegetables? Lu Shu remembered Shen Cao mentioning it the previous night. Planting vegetables was something Lu Shu could handle since it mostly involved sowing seeds. Shen Cao handed him the vegetable seeds and took him to a vacant area in the backyard. This is the vegetable patch. Just scatter these seeds here and water them. It should be straightforward enough. Great, I've got this. Lu Shu confidently took the seeds and examined them. He asked, what kind of vegetables are these? Vegetable seeds. What kind of vegetables specifically? To be honest, I'm not sure. A while ago, I helped a woman treat her diarrhea and she gave me a few packets of seeds as payment. Then she just ran off, Shen Cao explained. I see. Since it's a gift from the lady, they must be edible and who knows, they might be something the locals really enjoy, Lu Shu chuckled. Shen Cao nodded. Then I'll leave this to you. I'm heading up the mountain. All right, I'll wait for you to come back. Shen Cao hesitated for a moment then turned around, seeing Lu Shu standing by the field, waving and smiling at him. This sight lightened his mood, and he couldn't help but smile back. Okay. Following Shen Cao's instructions, Lu Shu scattered the seeds on the ground and watered them, making several trips to ensure they were properly irrigated. Don't ask why he didn't use a bucket, just know that he couldn't lift one. After finishing this task, he leaned against a nearby tree to cool off, looking up at the rising sun. He thought about how he and Shen Cao were planting vegetables and gathering firewood, and how they both had a bright future ahead of them. Hey, young man, what are you planting here? A middle-aged woman who was passing by stopped to take a look at the crops. She seemed curious as she commented, that looked like chili peppers. Chili peppers. Lu Shu's face turned pale as he realized he'd be eating chili peppers every day in the future. This was going to be a real pain in the butt. End chapter. Dandy escapes from marriage. Chapter 6. It was getting late, and the person who had gone up the mountain to collect firewood still hadn't returned. Lu Shu paced back and forth at the door for a while, shaking his legs as he sat on a stool. There was still no sign of Shen Cao, and as time passed, he decided to prepare lunch in the kitchen, hoping that they could eat together when he returned. How did they make porridge in the morning again? It seemed like all they needed was rice and water, quite simple. He scooped out a large bowl of rice and added a couple of ladles of water to the pot. As the fire crackled away, there were also heavy footsteps coming from the courtyard. He rushed to the door and saw Shen Cao, his hands hugging a large log, his back stooped, swaying as he walked, and the herbs in his basket occasionally bouncing, almost spilling out. Lu Shu quickly rushed forward to support the log. After they placed it on the ground, he helped Shen Cao remove his shoulder straps and took off the basket. Thank you, Shen Cao breathed a sigh of relief, sat down on a log, and wiped the sweat from his face, his voice still filled with fatigue. I didn't expect this piece of wood to be so heavy. It's tough to carry one on your back. Why didn't you put it in the basket? Lu Shu assisted him into the house, pouring a cup of cold water for him. Inside the basket, there are herbs. I need to sell them to buy chicken chicks so you can have some eggs, Shen Cao explained. He took the cup and downed the water in one gulp, then panting heavily asked, Can I have another one? Of course. Lu Shu brought the entire teapot over, continuously refilling his cup. He was touched and said, So, it's all for my sake. I actually want to eat them, too. Shen Cao's lips curved slightly. Lu Shu burst into laughter and suddenly stopped, pressing Shen Cao's hand seriously. I've figured out what I should do next. What is it? You've helped me so much and considered my needs at every turn, so I want to stay here, work together with you and help you lead a better life. Lu Shu was determined to repay him. It's not necessary, it was just a small favor. You don't need to go to such lengths. It is necessary. Otherwise, I wouldn't know where to go. What if I never meet someone as good as you who would take me in? Could you bear to see me starve to death on the streets, left unattended until I'm covered in? He was truly at his wit's end. Stop. Shen Cao guessed his intentions and laughed. As long as you don't mind the hardships, you can stay. Having a companion wouldn't hurt and it could even make life's struggles more enjoyable. I'll eat anything, even if it's bitter. I'll eat it all. Lu Shu declared. I'll eat anything, even if it's exotic. Shen Cao laughed. As long as you don't complain. Do you have anything else to say? Lu Shu noticed Shen Cao hesitating. Yes, Shen Cao lowered his head and looked at the hand that Lu Shu had grabbed. Could you let go now? I'd like some more water. Sure, please. Lu Shu released his hand and suddenly slapped the table, then turned and ran to the kitchen. My porridge. As expected, the porridge had learned to maximize its own value and was now 90% dry rice. But there were no vegetables to go with it. Shen Cao, why don't we go to the field and dig some vegetables? Lu Shu immediately looked at him, and he struggled to swallow his words. Meanwhile, Shen Cao's eyes suddenly lit up after some thoughts. I collected Izadi's root today, we can eat that. Lu Shu's eyes were filled with confusion. Are you sure? Yes, medical books mention that Izadi's root can be used as medicine and but could also eaten as cold salad. Izadi's root sure is versatile, Lu Shu remarked. After enjoying a few bites of freshly made Izadi's root salad, Lu Shu still found it hard to believe. It was only after Shen Cao had eaten a few mouthfuls that he finally put down his chopsticks, chewed a few times, and found himself on the verge of tears. Will we have enough to eat from now on? Yes, we will, Shen Cao nodded excitedly. They exchanged smiles. After eating Izadi's root for 5 consecutive days, the herbs were finally dried, and Lu Shu's wound had almost healed. He eagerly joined Shen Cao to go to the market. On the way, they occasionally encountered several households, and Shen Cao introduced them to Lu Shu. This is Aunt Zhu from the village head's family. Wow, your village is quite large. It took almost half an hour to reach the village head's house. The mountain road here is rugged. Although the distance is not far, the winding mountain path makes it seem much farther, Shen Cao explained. What do these people do? Lu Shu pointed to another house and asked, there are so many bamboo sticks piled up at their door. That's the village's bamboo weaver. He's a widower and he's very skilled at his craft. Lu Shu found the local customs and people's stories interesting as Shen Cao introduced them along the way. However, he couldn't help feeling impatient due to the long journey. It's so far. How much longer until we get there? We're almost there. You said that half an hour ago. Shen Cao smiled, picked up a tree branch from the roadside and handed it to Lu Shu. Use this. Lu Shu walked with the branch for a while but soon noticed that Shen Cao was walking upright without bending or stooping, while he felt like an exhausted old man. He immediately threw down the stick and continued forward with his head held high. Xiao Wu. Lu Shu waved his hand casually. No big deal, it's just walking. I can walk another 500 miles. You're going the wrong way, come back here. Lu Shu, ... Asterisk asterisk asterisk. After a tedious journey they finally reached the market. Lu Shu was so exhausted that he was panting heavily with his hands gripping Shen Cao's arm. He glanced around the market and felt quite disappointed. It was nowhere near as lively as Jinling, not even a tenth of it. The so-called market was mostly a place for bartering goods, with many people carrying their wares and goods to exchange for money. Actual stores were scarce, let alone large-scale ones. If a random store of the Lu family was moved to this place, it would seem extravagant beyond belief. Originally, Lu Shu had wanted to explore the market, but he quickly changed his mind and went with Shen Cao to find the herbal medicine shops. However, their expedition was unsuccessful. The local herbal medicine shops either had designated people responsible for herb collection or had established partnerships, so none of them were willing to accept the herbs brought in by these two unfamiliar young men. Leaving the last herbal medicine shop empty-handed, Shen Cao couldn't help feeling disheartened. I miscalculated. I thought that as long as we had the goods, we could sell them. How could that be possible? There are hidden rules in the market, and you can't learn them from reading medical books with your head down. For example, those long-term partners must have had some arrangements with the herbal medicine shops, otherwise, there was no reason for them to refuse the freshly dried herbs brought by newcomers like them. Lu Shu gazed at the narrow streets bustling with people. Let's go. Shen Cao sighed and turned to walk back home. However, he was stopped in his tracks as Lu Shu grabbed his sleeve. Where are you going? Come on, let's sell these herbs. But the herbal medicine shops won't take them. Who else will buy them? We'll sell them to the people who can't afford to see a doctor. Shen Cao suddenly realized the oversight. In his daily life, anyone with even a minor illness would seek a reputable doctor. That was the norm for him. However, he had overlooked the fact that many people couldn't afford medical care. Let's find a place to set up a stall. All right. Shen Cao followed the plan and quickly found a suitable spot. Lu Shu hesitated. It's cooler here. Shen Cao stood under a tree and smiled at him. But there's no one here. Lu Shu looked utterly dejected. We should go somewhere bustling with people to do business. Shen Cao pursed his lips and nodded slowly. You're right. Lu Shu turned away, observing for a while and then suddenly chuckled. What's wrong, are you afraid now? Shen Cao awkwardly scratched his nose. Lu Shu burst into laughter, hoisted the basket on his shoulder, and squeezed into the crowd. Leave it to me. Just wait here. Shen Cao couldn't allow that. He quickly caught up with Lu Shu, taking back the basket and following closely behind him. They arrived at the liveliest area and carved out a small space for themselves. I'm going to find something, you stay here, Lu Shu said before leaving. Shen Cao reached out as if to stop him but found that Lu Shu's figure had already disappeared. When Lu Shu returned, he saw Shen Cao standing there, forming an unusual sight that attracted the attention of passers-by. People would often sneak glances at this refined gentleman, some stared while others whispered to each other. Whenever Shen Cao noticed someone's gaze, he would make a concerted but stiff effort to smile and point to the basket beside him. There was a sign hanging on the basket with large characters written on it, herbs for sale. The small characters beside the large characters on the sign indicated the types of herbs they were selling. However, it seemed too simple and didn't attract any customers. The writing is nice, but it's a pity that no one is interested, he said with a smile as he approached. Yes, Shen Cao smiled awkwardly. It looks like we won't sell anything today. Most of the people here probably never went to school and can't read complicated characters, Lu Shu explained. I overlooked that again. Shen Cao frowned slightly, then made up his mind to try and called out, herbs for sale, herbs for sale. If you speak a bit louder, maybe the kids from the neighboring stall will hear you. Shen Cao, ... Shen Cao glanced at the child from the nearby stall, who was just 2 steps away, staring up at him in a daze. He cleared his throat, lowered his head, and raised his voice slightly, herbs, for sale. Haha, Lu Shu couldn't help but laugh. Shen Cao sighed and covered his face. This is too difficult. Lu Shu patted his shoulder and then grabbed a small stool he had borrowed, placing it next to Shen Cao. He extended his hand and said, "Sit down." "How can I sit down?" Shen Cao quickly pushed the stool away. "I can't just sit here." "Just sit. You'll be busy later," Lu Shu insisted, forcefully pressing him into the seat. When Shen Cao struggled to get up, Lu Shu raised a finger to his lips. "Be good and listen to me." Shen Cao, ... For a moment, Shen Cao felt like he saw his own mother. Lu Shu turned around, faced the bustling crowd, cleared his throat, and shouted, "Good news, good news! Free medical consultation today, specialized in treating various stomach problems." Shen Cao was taken aback and whispered, "We're on the roadside. How can anyone believe we're here for medical consultations? Free, of charge." Lu Shu shouted again. In no time, 4 or 5 people gathered in front of them. Shen Cao, ... "Come on, everyone, line up in an orderly manner." One by one, Lu Shu maintained order with a smile and handed the patients over to Shen Cao. Then, he called out again for free check UPS, attracting a few more people. Some had genuine stomach problems, while others just came for a free checkup. Shen Cao patiently questioned and examined them all. For those without any ailments, he genuinely congratulated them on their good health. If the condition exceeded his capabilities, he recommended seeking a better doctor. If it happened to be a case of abdominal pain, he could prescribe medication right away. The rest was left to Lu Shu. While preparing the medication, he said to the patients, "The doctor's consultation is free but the herbs are hard to come by. They can't be free but I can sell them to you at a low price. 1 packet of herbs for only 3 copper coins, which is 8 copper coins cheaper than the pharmacy." Shen Cao looked at him with surprise, realizing that Lu Shu had observed the prices of medicinal herbs when they went to the pharmacy, another detail he had completely overlooked. Soon, news of the free medical consultations and affordable herbal remedies spread, and their stall was swarmed with people. Both of them were so busy that they didn't even have time for lunch. It was only after they had sold all the herbs that they packed up their stall. "We earned a total of 170 copper coins," Lu Shu counted the coins, put them in a money pouch and handed it to Shen Cao. "Xiao Wu, you're amazing. I thought we wouldn't earn a single coin today," Shen Cao said in amazement. Lu Shu chuckled, "The pharmacy's purchase price isn't much higher than this. Although it's tiring this way, selling them is what matters." "Yet," Shen Cao suddenly hugged him, sharing the joy, "you're really a lucky charm." Lu Shu was delighted by the praise but his smile suddenly faded. "Wait, the count is wrong. We're missing 1 copper coin. Someone gave us 1 coin less, and I didn't even notice. It's just 1 coin." "No, you don't understand," he said indignantly. This was an insult to his money-counting abilities. Seeing him lose all his cheerfulness so suddenly, Shen Cao handed him the entire money pouch and said, "Don't be unhappy. It's all yours." Lu Shu was stunned, holding the slightly heavy money pouch in disbelief. "All of it? But these are the herbs you gathered after spending so many days in the mountains, even after getting stung by hornets and developing a big bump. How do you know?" Shen Cao was shocked. "Hui Shang told me." "Why did he tell you this?" Shen Cao sighed in frustration. This was something that had happened half a month ago, and he suddenly felt relieved that Lu Shu hadn't seen him in that embarrassing state after he was stung by the hornet. "He tells me everything, even things my parents haven't shared with me," Lu Shu said as he weighed the money pouch, feeling absolutely delighted. He inexplicably felt like the richest person at this moment. He checked the time, then handed the money pouch back to Shen Cao, urging, "It's getting dark. Let's go buy the chicks." "All right." There weren't many chicks left, and the two of them bought the last 8 little chicks. They were bright yellow, round and chubby, all chirping cutely. Chirp, 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 Lu Shu touched each of their little heads and their round bodies. The soft feathers brushed against his palm, putting him in a great mood. They're so adorable. Yet, Shen Kao looked at his happy smile and chuckled, they are indeed adorable. It will only be for a few days. They'll grow up quickly. Before you know it, they'll become ugly and old, but they'll be delicious when stewed, the shopkeeper remarked. Lu Shu was alarmed and covered the little chick's head with his hand as he anxiously said, they can't understand this. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Please don't listen to him. He's just a chicken seller. You guys are the cutest. Shopkeeper, ... End chapter.